General, so we left off, you were describing that it was at this point that you set up the GCI ops. So just to recap, and correct me if I'm wrong, that comprises the counterintelligence investigation together with the organized crime team and the investigations in Gauteng, yes. Is that right?
Yes, that is correct, Commissioners. And maybe to add that once the operation reaches that level, before the registration, because now it was the combination of both the counterintelligence investigations coordinated at the divisional level, which is national office, and the investigation was at a lower level, provincial office, the organized crime investigation. So when you are in that situation, that's when then before you marry the two, then you brief the National Commissioner, because now he's the one also in charge of all provinces and divisions.
And it's at this point that you request for members of the PKTT to be seconded to this operation. Is that right?
That is the correct, Commissioners, as I reminded the Commission that I was and still playing the dual role of both the project leader of PKTT as well as the Divisional Commissioner of Income Intelligence. So when then the GCI Ops was born, one of the shortcomings that we identified was firstly the approach itself. The investigation was following what I referred to, and I will still refer to it as traditional way of investigating, which is not suitable to investigate organized crime. So we had to then have a discussion with the provincial commissioner of where the PKTT is operating in the form of requesting the support. Because it was clear, because already some of the cartel members had been identified. Now, for that type of investigation, we needed to switch from the traditional way of investigation to the organized crime investigation, which I referred to as analysis-driven and prosecutorial-led investigation. Hence, then, beginning of November, we started those discussions and we agreed with the Provincial Commissioner KZN that we are going to request the analysts, all types of analysts.
Let me pause you just for a moment, General. When you say we had those discussions and we decided, who do you mean by we?
I'm referring to myself as the custodian of GCI Ops as well as the project leader of the PKTT with the Provincial Commissioner of KwaZulu-Natal, where PKTT is based.
Okay, so you were discussing this with Lieutenant General Mkhunazi?
That is correct, Commissioner.
Okay, continue. I interrupted.
And then the first batch, or the batch of the experts that we had to assign to the GCI Ops from the PKTT were, as I've said, mainly experts. We had to get a ballistic expert because from the information gathered, it was clear that it will be another investigation support that the team will need. We also requested the digital forensic analyst who then was going to assist in the form of, because they are organized crime, it involves lots of gadgets that we are using on our daily lives. We also needed the call data analyst specialist because of the communication that needed then to be analyzed and be used as evidence. We also had to request 3 times crime scene investigators. By that time, it was clear from the information collected that there are lots of other crime scenes that might be needed the team to zoom into. Hence, then the crime scene experts had to be 3, so as then they are able to cover all those identified crime scenes. And it also had a lot to do with the reconstruction, because they were not fresh crime scenes. So it needed experts then that can be able to do the backdating of crime scene management to try and create the picture as to what happened 2 years ago in this particular place. Hence, then we had to request 3 of them. We also had to request the operational analyst. The operational analyst is the one that is collecting all the reports from different analysts and put them together to paint one picture. So it's an overall analyst that must be able to read and interpret the digital forensic analyst report, the ballistic report, the call data report. So we needed that center of an analysis. We also realized that we need the overall commander. In the PKTT, we had developed suitable commanders that are able to understand all the different work that is done by experts. That's why we had to be specific, because in most cases in the police, you'll find a commander who's a specialist in visible policing commanding or crime investigation commanding. But the capability that we had built in the PKTT was for the commanders that are able to understand all that is expected to be done in a multidisciplinary. It must be a person who must be able to supervise the ballistic analyst, not by being an analyst, but by understanding what needs to be done. Hence, then we had to include in our list an operational commander. Also, the other expert that we requested was the designated firearm officer that talks to the characteristics of most of the syndicates, more specifically this cartel, as I referred to last time, that one of the common denominators is for the cartel members to specialize in private security, having companies that are dealing with private security in order to collect as much firearms as possible. So for that, we needed an expert then in the firearm area, from the importation to registration to managing or controlling those firearms. And we also had to request an investigating officer who was going to join the 2 investigating officers that we had at the beginning. The purpose for that was twofold, was to assist them in the caseload, because the cases were increasing almost every day. But most importantly was to try and bring someone with the idea of the PKTT's method of operating to link with the two initial investigating officers, so as then we upgrade, maybe it's a wrong word to use, we upgrade them as quickly as possible to be at the level of the PKTT investigation. So hence then our request was for 10 of PKTT members. 10 is made up of those experts that I've explained.
Sorry, General, you said something I would like to explore. You talked about the level of PKTT investigation. And my question is, why did you need the analysts from the PKTT? Could you not get them from, say, Cape Town or within Gauteng or the Free State or Mpumalanga? Why did they specifically have to come from the PKTT?
Thank you, Commissioner. The main reason is we have seen what we have achieved within the PKTT. We will receive an expert from their respective units. Yes, they will be experts, but there will be lots of other areas that will have to work on to make them, to improve on their fields of expertise. The first one being in the PKTT, we prioritize accountability at all levels, that you have to account for whatever that we are doing, which is normally lacking at unit or station level. And also the other difference is, as specialists are operating within their fields, they only see themselves and what they have to do. There is no link where you link the different aspects, so as then they can give you the desired results. And maybe to add, the other reason is the turnaround time of whatever that is happening in the PKTT. We have made it such that it's far much better than the normal SAPS units or stations are operating.
Thank you, Commissioner. Can you give us a practical example of this turnaround time that you refer to? What would be the difference in the PKTT versus what you say is not the same in the normal SAPS units?
Yeah, maybe so as I don't make the work of the commission difficult, I'll quote on one of the evidence that has been led here, which is the ballistic analysis. We put it such that the ballistic experts must understand that he or she is playing a supportive role of the investigation. The more time you spend on producing the report, you are delaying the investigator. So now, because each and every investigation has got a plan, so the physical worker, the investigating officer, will not want then to miss the targets and the timelines because of a particular specialist that is bringing his or her own turnaround time. I will say where we saw it working for us was or is the ballistic analysis. The reason why we normally use it is in our report, we were flagging on ad hoc cases that will be generated from the intelligence-driven operations where we're looking for firearms. So in most cases, those operations will be on Fridays during the proper time, but on Fridays. So because we will be having a target that we have intelligence that is in possession of a firearm that was used in a particular case. So the work of a ballistic expert will start Friday midnight or Friday or Saturday morning when we come back with that firearm. The target is by Monday when we go to court to enroll the possession of unlicensed firearm. It's already linked with a main case that we're investigating. But all the turnaround times are made shorter because they have to fit the investigation plan, whether it's called data analyst. If the request by the investigating team to the call data analyst is to quickly analyze the movement using the towers that will be given then a shorter turnaround time because it has to allow the taskings and the responsibility of the investigator to continue so as then the investigation plan is not delayed because of the expert. So it's one of the reasons why we had to tap on the tried and tested personnel from the PKTT. Our timeline, although it's not included in my affidavit, but if we look at the time the experts joined the GCI Ops, which was the 19th of November, and with a quick briefing for them to understand, and thereafter they move separate ways to start doing what is relevant to their different fields, and they bring it back. And then by the 6th of December, we were ready for the takedown of the first target, which is roughly 2 weeks from the 19th to the 6th. That's another example.
So that's 19 November 2024 that these 10 members were seconded to GCI Ops and they began their work immediately.
Yes.
And you say they were recruited specifically for their expertise.
Yeah.
And you couldn't obtain that kind of expertise in Gauteng through the normal units. You've explained that.
Yeah, it's not, thank you, Commissioner. It's not that we could not. The expertise and experts are there, but the way of operating, starting from the attitude towards your work, which is more about, because I think I indicated previously that the way of the methodology in the PKTT it's different from the normal SAPS way of doing things. Every day there are accounting sessions, every day. When you go out, maybe let me start by, you don't go out to do what you think and feel needs to be done. A day before, the team will sit, and then the operational analyst who's having all the information in front will then give the direction, which will give rise to the taskings that the investigation team must go and obtain statement from A and B. And the statement must contain these. And then when that comes, then the team will sit again to account and verify the feedback, whether it's talking to the. So we wanted, because we could see, as I've said, they were, because this now was a different operation with a counterintelligence investigation, as I reflected that one of the objectives of counter intelligence is to neutralize the threat. So you cannot then leave the threat being there for ages. So the quicker you neutralize the threat, then the quicker then the level of risk is going down, because there are lots of logistics that are put in place to make sure that the investigation and investigators are protected. So for us to achieve that, we undermined the experts that are all over the country, but we thought that we rather opt for the ready-made group that is suitable for what we have on hand.
General, why can't the mode of operation of the PKTT be replicated throughout the country? If at the end of the commission's life, that is in terms of the testimony led before it, we are satisfied that indeed the PKTT works better than the rest of SAPS. This is a question we may have to answer. That is, why can't that mode of operation be replicated throughout the country?
Thank you, Commissioner. In all our reports, that is included as one of the recommendations to the powers that be, that we recommend that this methodology is used as a benchmark to try and change the way we are investigating crime, because our traditional way is still suitable for normal crime. The assault commons, the assault GPH, but then when it comes to organized crime, the same traditional ways are not applicable. So we will recommend that with all our reports. There's been attempts, Commissioner, if I may divert from my affidavit, there's been attempt. There was a time, a year, where all provinces were requested to send a minimum of 6 members of SAPS to come and sit with the PKTT and learn. So we will have classes at night, and then during the day, we send them out with the teams for practicals. And it was a successful intervention or attempt. The problem started then when they had to go back and implement, because now those that are expected to implement or supervise the implementation were not understanding. You have trained 6 members from Limpopo. When they get back home to their commanders, they are going back to the old ways. Hence, then the second attempt was with Western Cape, where the National Commissioner instructed that the Provincial Commissioner himself be part of the team that will go and learn. One can say that showed some positive results because now the man in charge of the province has got that understanding to implement. So hence then we believe that this model of PKTT can be used as a transition from the normal or traditional way of investigating to this one that is suitable for the problems that we are facing as a country at this moment. We look at, there was the time when I think I had a session with the crime scene experts. Then the first question of the PKTT, the first question I asked as to how many are you countrywide? They gave me the number that is almost 2 times more than the police stations that we have. Then I said, then why then you have your units somewhere instead of having each station allocated the expert that. So as we move, the second most important investigative aid that we will need to prioritize is called data analysis. Almost everybody is having gadgets nowadays, and the way it helps in terms of investigation and also fast tracking. So in trying to answer your question, Commissioner, I was very long, but I was trying to show that there's been attempts, but it won't be the first time that the PKTT model is recommended. It has been recommended by ourselves and then also accepted by some of the principals within SAPS.
At the beginning of your response, you said you made recommendations to the open code powers that be close code. Who are those powers?
Thank you, Commissioner. I was referring to, in terms of accountability, the PKTT is reporting firstly to the Provincial Steering Committee that is made up of the top management of those stakeholders that are within the province. So when we submit the report, we include that recommendation so as they can see if they can do something. Same applies to national.
I'm not sure that that answers my question. You said that you have made recommendations to the powers that be that the mode of operation of the PKTT be adopted nationwide. Did I understand you correctly?
Yes.
Yes. Now my question is, who are the powers that be that you made your recommendations to? I would imagine it must be at a national level.
Thank you, Commissioner. I started at provincial level. I was moving on to say even within the National Steering Committee meeting chaired by the National Commissioner, even when we are submitting the periodical reports to the National Commissioner, we will include that recommendation. Even when we have to submit the report to the interministerial or even the Ministry of Police, we will include that recommendation. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the initiative of a Western Cape team led by the Provincial Commissioner was recommended by the Ministry when then that report was tabled.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.